Insanity. Insanity is the generic term used to designate the beliefs of a disordered or diseased brain. A common mistake is to think that insanity means a disordered mind. It does not. It appears as a disordered mind because human belief has designated the brain as that whereby thinking is done. The brain has no more to do with thinking than the heart with emotion. Who today believes that the heart has emotions and that it feels? The belief that the brain does the thinking, however, carries with it, in spite of its self-evident falsity, a second inevitable belief, namely that if anything happens to the brain, thinking is impaired. As an illustration of the falsity of the theory that the brain does the thinking, the following facts are illuminating. A brilliant professor in one of the largest American universities willed his brain to the affiliated medical college. Up to the moment of his death, it was acknowledged that no deterioration in his mentality had taken place. No time was lost after his death in transferring his brain to specialists for examination. They naturally expected to find a perfect specimen of brain, but instead they found what should have been, according to all their accepted theories, the brain of a babbling idiot. One example of this kind is enough to prove the absurdity of believing that any human concept, whether perfect or imperfect, has anything to do with mind, God, or that it can usurp the prerogatives of mind, God. Psychologists, according to their own claim, are today restoring lost brain functions and lost brain grooves by the re-education of the individual on the lapsed points. They are doing this, they say, by using another portion of the brain, one that has not been affected by whatever caused the lapse. Does this not prove that it is not the brain grooves that make the intelligence, but intelligence called education that makes the brain grooves? Psychology acknowledges this when it says that it can change the function of thinking from one portion of the brain to another, and that the lapse would disappear. Mind, God alone thinks, and no human concept called brain has anything to do with it. But because brain is the specific point of attack in arguing against insanity, it is incumbent on the metaphysician to establish the truth about brain before proceeding further. What do you know about brain? Because God is all, He must and does include in His allness all that there is to brain, all that brain means. Therefore, all that God is, brain must be. Brain shows forth the perfection and completeness of God, since God alone defines it. This perfection and completeness precludes the possibility of a brain being inflamed, diseased, or deranged, because the order, harmony, and arrangement that is God is the order, harmony, and arrangement of brain. Because God is one, brain is one, and this one the only brain. Hence it is omnipresent. The one right brain is just where the lie is saying there exists an imperfect brain, a diseased brain, a deranged brain. Make your thinking so true that you never see the presence of God whether interpreted as brain or liver or cloud or sea or whatever, as off in space, but see that it is with you as your very communion with truth, just as the multiplication table is ever present as your consciousness. Regardless of the name given to the appearance, acknowledge mind, God, alone as all the presence there is to it. Be ever mindful, however, that, quote, entirely separate from the belief and dream of the human concept of anything is the divine reality. Since this one perfect brain is the only brain, hence omnipresence, can the claim have anything to do with brain? It cannot. The belief that there is a mind apart from God, the one mind, and that this mind operates as hypnotic suggestion and appears as a belief of imperfect brain is all there is to the claim. But because God is the one and only mind, there is no suppositional opposite to appear as the negation of mind. There is no malicious mind. The realization of this is the healing.